To the show. Hello.
Hi,
thank you for joining us. When this study came out over the last 24 hours, I think a lot of people felt vindicated and also very angry. Would you agree with that?
I certainly would. I mean, this is the evidence that we have needed for a long time. You know, gender-affirming care is a disaster, but this proves it now. The Finnish have done a really good, robust study. They followed these children, youngsters, for about 24 years, I think it was, and the evidence is incontrovertible that gender-affirming care, the phalloplasties, all the medioplasties, the chest stuff they did, made these youngsters considerably worse. They started off with quite high levels of morbidity, and they got a lot worse. And we have the evidence because it's such a large study. There were nearly 3,000 participants in the study. They went back and looked at the data. And it's very clever because they matched it with controls in the population. So each person in the study had two males and two female controls. So we could really compare them with other Finnish youngsters of their same age. And we saw a disastrous decline in their mental health and functioning.
Isn't it incredible?
As a result of what has been...
Well, I was just going to say, isn't it incredible that this data is out and it's out now and looking at now and hopefully will have an impact, whereas, of course, this data was so needed 10 years ago, and yet medical practitioners just pretended that there was data out there when there really wasn't.
Exactly. You know, they lied, they hid, they obfuscated. The Dutch study, right back whenever that was, had promised to follow people up. And the fundamental thing when you're doing when you're doing an experiment like this is you have to follow up the data. You have to follow your people. And this actually, Josh, goes back to what John Money did. He pretended he'd lost contact with the Reimer twins. So we are seeing the same pattern of lies being repeated decades later in the same area of so-called medicine. It is quite scandalous.
Well, it's arguably the biggest medical scandal of our time. And now we're seeing...
I think it is.
It's the opposite impact, where you can understand parents want the best for their children. If they're being told by the people that they trust, psychiatrists, by doctors, that if they don't medicalise their children, if they don't chop off body bits, their child is going to commit suicide, you can understand why the fear that would drive them to do this. But now we know it's actually the opposite.
It's the exact opposite. And as you say, parents have been told this and they have literally been lied to. One thing we do in psychology is we never attribute suicide to a single cause. That is, you know, 101 psychology. Suicide is multifactorial. And to just say it is because your child is the wrong sex is so unethical. And then to say this in front of the child when they're there, we are literally teaching children to be suicidal. We call it making misattributions. And therapists know about this. They know they are doing wrong, Josh. It's not that, you know, that this is something they don't know about. We know how to treat children with distress. We don't validate their distorted cognitions. We teach them different styles, coping styles. We teach them how to be resilient. We teach them how to manage stress. We do cognitive restructuring. Okay. We don't cut bits off them.
Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Dionne Joseph, thank you very much.